recording and ready. Sorry. We'll play it with cupcakes.
All right. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get this meeting started. So if everybody can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, flag to your left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Where's Kristen?
She is grabbing.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call. We have
You want to run it? I can do it. Mr. Hutchinson. Here. Mr. Martin. Here. Mr. Dabrowski.
here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. O'Grady. Here. Mr. Bryant.
Here.
Mr. Galena.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
All right. In person.
In person.
All right. You're looking for an approval of the agenda.
No changes to the agenda. There is a walk-on at your seat that is specific to policy, but it doesn't change the agenda at all.
So with that, looking for an approval.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Roger. Second by Jen. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Next, I'll be looking for an approval of the minutes from the December 20th, 2022 regular Board of Education meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Andy. Second by Danny. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed and no abstentions, I don't believe? Everybody was here?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No abstentions, okay, motion passes. And like that, we are all ready to correspondence.
You have anything?
We do, yeah. First, dear 114 board and staff, on behalf of my family and myself, we would like to sincerely thank you for your generous donation in memory of my grandfather. It was greatly appreciated and so thoughtful. It truly shows how amazing and supportive the D114 community is. Again, thank you for your thoughtfulness. Sincerely, the Alpert family. Victoria Alpert, their grade teacher. And then, dear Fox Lake Grade School Board, my mom and Kim Van Holbeck.
Van Holbeck.
Thank you. Grandma would have been extremely pleased with the recent donation to St. Jude Hospital. My mom, Barbara Rogers, was very proud of Kim's occupation and her kids at school. This donation is a great honor in her memory.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. And why most of you are here, audience comments. Speak now. Okay, here. Yes.
Congratulate our kids.
Yeah.
Show recognition to them.
All right, we will do that. Anybody online, any audience comments from our virtual family?
Yes, my sister.
Well, if I get. All right, Mr. Peters, you want to kick us off with a little student recognition?
Perfect.
Since you're up?
Tonight, we have our amazing fourth grade team presenting. We have Anna Morris, Caitlin Benson, and joining us virtually, maybe, is Victoria Brown.
I got Courtney, I
Down.
don't see Victoria.
All right, she's not here, I got her.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Who would like to kick this off?
All right, woo! Who you got, Ms. Fenton?
I have Miss Ella, that's right here.
Front and center. Hi, Ella.
You want to stand up here and you can sit? Okay. You can come on back, okay? So we would love to recognize Miss Ella. She's sitting right up in the front for all of her hard work and extreme kindness she demonstrates daily. Ella goes above and beyond, showing empathy towards others by always helping others, cheering them up when they are down, and caring for them when they are hurt. Not only does Ella continuously show kindness, she's always working hard, participating and following directions in class. We just finished our second unit in our ELA art curriculum, and she worked extremely hard on her animal adaptation project, typing her paragraphs based on her research. She then created a fun slideshow presentation with all of her research included. Ella always does such a great job, and we are so proud.
Yeah, Ella, come on up.
Woohoo!
Wait, where's Ella? Where's
Way
Ella?
to go, Ella!
Where's Ella?
We got a cheering section.
Yeah.
What animal did you research? Dolphins. I remember seeing the dolphins. Didn't I come by your room one day and see dolphins? You were working on it? That's amazing. Did you learn a lot? Thank you. All right. And we'll do a break after the recognition, so everybody can get all the photo ops you want. If anybody, or if you have paper or anything, I know you don't like cookie dough. Over here too, okay?
All right, so I am recognizing Cash Wagner. Okay. So I would like to recognize Cash for being a great role model and consistently putting effort into her classroom. From the moment I met Cash, I knew she would be a great addition to our class. Despite challenges she has faced this semester, she has always shown up with a smile and ready to work hard. Navigating brand new fourth grade content can certainly be daunting and difficult, but nevertheless, Cash persists. Cash has also been a great role model in our class. She is someone I can always count on to be respectful, responsible, and kind, and show others how to follow the latest expectations. Her hugs and silly attitude never fail to brighten my day and make our classroom a better place to be. I'm so proud of her, and I can't wait to see how she can grow this.
There you go. Next, is Robert, so I'm going to read that one. Okay, great. I have Aiden Alvarez. Wow. Alright. So, Aiden Alvarez is one of the most hardworking, kind, and thoughtful fourth graders I know. During our second ELA unit, we studied animal adaptation. Aiden chose to study shark and not only to do research with shark. He also went above and beyond with his report. I love how he had his own style and not details. Aiden is always working hard in class. However, most importantly, he is always kind. He's always looking out for others and making sure everyone feels included. Aiden said his goal for the new year is to be more kind, but I think he's right there. We are lucky to have you as part of the Corral group. What an amazing work. All right, Ms. Snell, I think you're up. Oh, with you? Oh, got it.
Oh, yeah, I'm here for Ella and the other fourth grade students, but yes.
Perfect. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here, Courtney. All right. All good from Lotus. Mr. Sussick, who we're going to learn about from Stanton
All
tonight?
right, so we're going to recognize fifth grade and then our undefeated eighth grade basketball champs. So Mrs. Fritz, represent our fifth graders.
And hey, Mrs. Kretz, all those fourth graders that were just talked about are coming your way. Are you excited or what?
I'm super stoked.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked. All right, so from Mr. Bailey's class, Alexis Jewell. Hello there.
There she is.
Whatever you'd like to do, Mrs. Fritz.
You do.
So, this is what Mr. Bailey said, that Alexis is an outstanding student, always ready to help her classmates and go above expectations. You You are an asset to your class and community as you continue to excel at Stanford School. You participate in basketball clinics and sports.
All right.
Zoe.
There she is.
Zoe, everybody.
Hey, Zoe.
And what Michael said about you was that you are a great Stanford School community member. You are always willing to work with anyone. You love to help others. You participate in book club, the principal advisory committee, and after-school D&D club. You frequently offer to help around the classroom. You volunteer to be the cubby fairy helper, organizer of cubby, and you have a kind and generous spirit. You are a pleasure to have you. Okay, Bella. Bella.
Hello, everyone.
Alright, Miss Bella is in Mr. Love's class. And what Mr. Love said is Bella has been fantastic throughout the school year. You consistently participate in class and are very welcoming to the class's new students. You also, she is also in the Stanford community, being involved in cross-country and student council. You go above and beyond in schoolwork, and you ask for additional assignments to take home. We love her. Keep up the good work. That's the job. And the last one is Layla, that I don't see Layla. So, Layla Santos. Okay, but I'm still going to represent, tell everybody about Layla. Layla's in my class. She is a great student and always puts forward her best effort. She leads by example in many ways. She's a helper in the classroom. She helps put things away and clean up, and she's always available to assist others that need help. She is one to ask for assistance when she needs it. She follows the school rules, and she is part of the student council. And it is a pleasure having Layla in class.
Oh,
When you
Layla.
see her, tell her, great job.
Got it.
Great job.
And next I'd like to introduce Coach Pedrano so he can recognize our 8th grade basketball champions.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, I'd like to recognize each individual one that made it today and continue on with the rest of the roster. So let's start off with two
Tell them what
boys
they
up
did
there.
though. What happened?
Well, while we're here,
Why
right?
do you have that giant trophy?
This is what happens when you go undefeated on the
Yeah.
undefeated season this year, and also won the championship. So I'd like to introduce the guys here who made this all possible. Kareem Williams. Yeah, right, you can't mess with the hat.
That's up the look.
Yeah, you get to pass it on as you come up, okay? Kareem Williams, what an addition. Didn't play for us 7th grade, but coming in 8th grade, made a big difference in the point guard. And defense, led it up top, so thank you, Kareem.
Oh,
Josh Gamboa. All right, Josh.
What's the hair? What's the hair? Oh, it's all good. Here, you wanna see? You're so good. You all right?
All right, Josh Gamboa, he's my shooting guard. He was ready to go anytime. He really, when we needed to pick up, he was ready for the pickup, ready to go every time. Josh Gamboa. All right, we got Alex Alberter. Come on up here, buddy.
Yeah, Alex.
All right, Alex, he was ready to go anytime we needed to go. Any of the guys need a little bit of rest. He came in ready at all times. I love his attitude. This guy's like awesome, like great locker room guy. Just always has a great positive attitude. Let's give it up, Alex Alberter. All right, Leo Mercado,
Yeah,
coming up
Leo.
here, big guy. All right, as you can tell, he was my big rebounder guy. Anytime that we needed big boards, he was ready to go. I'm very excited, hopefully, that you continue to play in the next level. And Leo, thank you for all your help. A new addition to the team as well. All right, Charles Schlitt, come on over here.
Come on down.
All right, Charles. All right, I'll let you get over there. Oh yeah, Charles. Wow. When we needed anything ready to go for the tournament, he took over at some points. This guy just once again just his talent, raw talent alone, but he was just ready to go. So Charles, I appreciate you stepping up huge in the tournament, man. You showed up big. You showed up big. Charles Schlitt.
Yeah, man.
All right, Victor Gitterly coming up here.
Victor.
Our sharpshooter, Vic. This guy, not only could he drive, but his main specialty is Kyle Korver. If you guys watch some of the Bulls or any basketball, this guy is anytime you need a quick basket, quick three, never fails. Victor Gitterly. Armani Massey.
Yeah, Armani. Dude, what hat do you have on today? Bulls hat. All right.
Yeah, this is fit on there. Armani's our seventh grader. He was our reserve throughout the season. We just got him in there just to round out the team. He was part of the team last year with a couple of these boys to also go near undefeated last year. I just wanted to make sure that he got to finish what he started last year. And I can't wait to see what happens next year with the 8th grade team. So Armani, give it up for Armani. Did anybody come in at the end there? Okay, no? All right. Also missing here, Alex Horbatenko. Also missing, we have, just to make sure, Francisco Gonzalez, Jaden Janot, Logan Ham. A couple of these guys have other sports that they're also at, so kudos to them. Obviously, you know, their hard work is endless. Entering this season, as I just mentioned, they came in one win away last year from doing so, from being here yet twice again. But this time around, I knew it coming in. I knew it was special. Just from the time that you guys showed up, not only from statistical standpoint, but just from you guys' attitude and showing up and just knowing that you guys were on the same boat. And this is what happens when you're on the same page as a team. Thanks, guys.
Huge thank you and congratulations to Coach Medrano.
Thank you.
None of that would have happened without
I appreciate it.
parents in this room, I probably shouldn't say this, so I'll always say that I didn't say it.
This
It is. So I guess it doesn't matter. You need to know how much I love this group of boys. They are so respectful. You can talk sports with them at any point in time. As a sport mom, it's an absolute delight to be able to talk football, talk basketball, talk anything with them, talk hacks with Armani, talk style with Kareem, talk hair with, wow, all of them. It's really a gift to know your boys. So know that I am the mom of an 8th grade boy myself, and sometimes I love your boys far more than mine. So thank you for sharing your talents and the amazingness of them with us. We absolutely are so proud of you guys for our congratulations.
Plus, we want to recognize the best fan in the county, Mr. D114.
You watch out for the water. Get this.
With that, let's take about 5 minutes or so. There are treats over there. Thank you, Kristen. You got a basketball tape. There's cookies, there's cupcakes, there's waters and water. Take it easy because you like just enjoy your moment, okay? Thanks so much. Thank you.
Good job.
Celebration.
You don't need that much food.
We're ready.
All right, back at it. Next, we are at number 8, which is the consent agenda, which represents the accounts payable in total of $606,286.78, the treasurer's report for December, and the approval of destruction of closed session minutes and recordings
For July.
for July 2021.
So before we talk about that one, just know that, thank you, Christy got us all caught up on the destruction of recordings because there was a gap in time, and she talked with a couple of other districts to figure out how they stay on top of it, and what they do is just the month that comes up every month that is in the window of time that's appropriate for destruction. So you'll see that agenda item every month because it just keeps us clearing out as we can, rather than one big lump of closed session minutes, okay?
Okay.
Thanks.
That works.
Thanks, Christy.
So I'll be looking for approval of the consent agenda unless somebody has a question on anything.
I'll make a motion.
A motion by Roger,
I'll second.
a second by Jen. Please poll the board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Molina,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin? Mr. Nebraska?
Yes, okay, motion passes. Next, finance and facilities updates.
Mary, let's start with the security plan, please.
Yes, so, part of the strategic goals was to come up with a security plan, and what you'll find is the different types of security that we go through, which is the building, communications, and then technology software. So what I did was I tried to put an idea of what we spend each year. Some of it is like new cameras, so that's gonna be a one-time expense. But you'll see that, you know, this didn't exist a while ago. I mean, but now we've come to this, we're not even to the point where we are doing all of it possible, but even some of the things that other schools are doing. However, monitoring, if you look at, actually we spend a lot of money in the cybersecurity, about $25,000 a year just for cybersecurity. So this is for information, what we do. We'll keep this updated as well as we change, you know, if there's any additional softwares that we use, or if there's any, obviously going to be doing secure vestibules, there might be some cameras and some other technology involved with that as well. So once that happens, this report will also be updated. I did put the camera buses, bus cameras in there as well. That is part of our security, just because we can actually pull those hard drives out and take a look and see if there's any kind of, there's reports of bad behavior, we can actually identify kids and what was going on. So, but these are some of the security measures that we have in place now, that will change, but now it gives you a good idea of what happens every year.
Yes, and thinking of the buses and security, the GPS tracking would also be considered a security
Yes.
feature also.
We have tablets that actually show the bus drivers their routes, the kids that are on their routes, and actually parents can log in and see where they're at, where the bus is at. So, yeah, that's another safety item. We actually just replaced those tablets. They'll be installing them probably in the next few weeks. So, unfortunately, those become obsolete after a while, and we can't replace them. That's what happened with our other tablets. So, yeah, I'll add the tablets in on there as well.
Did you mention the School Guard app?
I did not.
Okay, so in terms of communications, one of the things we were considering, and Jen, I don't know, do you guys have something like this that you direct? Yeah, well, hold on, because you listen to what I'm gonna say. Wow, that was really bossy. Anyway, so most systems at this point have an app that will direct push immediate contact to everybody in a site saying whatever. And it can be as anything like snow day tomorrow, or everybody take the Chromebooks home, and it immediately pushes to phones, which people typically have more handy than their email, and are more willing to look at than a call coming in, all the way to and through lock down this hallway. Everybody exit door 4, you know. So the whole point is immediate just-in-time communication for low-tier events as well as code red events. And so Mary did a great job of pricing one out, which is listed here under communications. So the proposal and where we were about to sign with School Guard for $2,300 and some more for both schools, we put a hold on because the regional office is about to do this for all districts. So it will be coming soon. I emailed Dr. Karner today to get a timeline on that. But the beauty of that, from the principal's perspective, we'll all be connected. So if, let's say, Antioch locks down, we'll know. Because lots of times there's a huge delay in that, and we won't even know until parents start calling in what's going on here, and then we get on the blotter, and it isn't the smoothest of things. And even if it doesn't pertain to us, or our police keeps us in a safe place, you want to know that stuff is going on, and right now there's not a streamlined way to do it, and this through the regional office will do that for us. So don't buy anything over at Warren. And so we're not going to buy either, because it will be a county-wide system that they're going to handle through a security grant, and will loop all districts into each other, which I think is just a really great thing. So there will be no cash output on that.
Yeah, so once we get back a little more information on that, we'll update that as well. I did have the School Guard on there because at the time.
Yeah, we were doing
That's
that.
what we were talking about going with, which is something that Grass Lake uses too, and it's a nice little tool to have, so, but we'll get that updated also. Questions on that? Let me know if there's anything you think of, any additions. But it's mostly really good. It's the cyber security. That, what I did not include on there is the insurance would be for cybersecurity as well. So I mean, that's going up, and it's becoming more prevalent everywhere you look. So that's another part of our insurance that we have to purchase, is cybersecurity, which gives us a couple of $1 million towards any kind of ransomware, things like that, or any kind of like cyber attacks.
So I don't think this is indicated as an approval item. It's going to ebb and flow, so I don't know we're doing anything other than just bringing this to the board's attention. I don't think we need to vote on this unless you want to take one.
Nope.
Okay.
I think just having it available is
Yep.
good.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay. Okay, so it's been the facilities update. Last month, the board had some specific questions and wanted to see a long-term plan. So let me start with the long-term plan and where we stand right now. If you look through the completed projects, kind of redid this a little bit so it shows, and it's going to be this one, this spreadsheet. We kind of went through and organized it by projects that are coming out of Fund 60, projects that are completed, projects that are still on waiting to be completed, some of the items that we pulled out from the original. So if you look at this, we've completed about $6.4 million in work already. Some of the incomplete capital projects, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, is pretty much what we had presented last month, which is the Lotus roof, the secured vestibules, boiler replacements, and rooftop unit repair on this school. And what I tried to do is put down the running balance that we have in Fund 60. So when we come down to the projects that we would like to do this summer, we're at about 2.89 million. We have currently 2,594,000, but we just got word that we got the grant from the state, matching grant of $50,000 that we wrote for boilers to offset the cost of boilers. We also found out we have a rebate on the chiller of $17,500. So I kind of added that back in. And so once you take those projects out, we still have about $71,000 in the capital project, which is Fund 60. Some of the, if you flip it over, some of the items that we were going to fund through our operations and maintenance fund, that's one of our operating funds, Fund 20. hang on, I'm sorry, I told you to flip.
Is there a page missing?
It was, yes, I think there must be, because, it was the, cameras for here, for, Stanton, which we have, you know what, let's come back to that.
It's on the first page.
Incomplete. Okay, Stanton is, yes. No, there were other things. Yep. Yes, the bleachers, PA system, those were items, yeah, that was.
But we've updated the whole thing. All right, hold on.
Some of the smaller items that would come up, that we're talking about, like the bleachers at the end of life, those things can be funded out of O&M. So those are going to be our repair items, our smaller items that we would normally replace out of that fund. It doesn't have to come out of capital projects. Capital projects are bigger, more permanent. We found that we need the Stanton intercom system is out of date, is that correct? I don't know how old that is, so that's another thing we're looking at to replace.
Same one that, when I was there, still there.
Yeah,
Not that young anymore.
and I think the problem we're having is some rooms can hear it, some rooms can't, some rooms can hear it way too loud. So, I mean, it's time, it's one of those things where we can cover that under the operations and maintenance fund as well.
Something like that, is that, so the old days, it's wired, every room is wired to that master board. Now everything will be Wi-Fi, I assume?
I think that's David had looked at some quotes, and I believe that's what it was, is the IP and Wi-Fi. That's what all the cameras are going to as well, is the IP addresses and much clearer and much longer life for us, so it's a good thing. So, some of these things are going to be able to be funded out of Fund 20. So what we're looking at is Fund 60 and where we stand with that. After all these rebates and these grants, we end up with about $71,000. So what we're looking at for this summer, well, we're talking about the most important thing is Lotus Grove. You had asked some questions regarding the Lotus Grove, and I have those questions on there as well.
You should have received that in your packet.
Correct. So we had talked about the PVC roof. We also talked about the metal roof and the shingle roof, and the cost difference. As it stands right now, Performance Services is still suggesting that we go with the PVC roof. You have those, you don't have any breaks, you have one membrane, and then the little bit of a decorative shingle on the sides and adheres to the sides. So these are the answers to the questions the board had asked. I was able to talk to Chris Reed from American Roof, asking him his opinion as well. Like
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
And he is retired.
Right, thanks,
For
Jeff.
sure. Which is unfortunate for us.
Which is interesting, because he gave us the November report.
Yes.
I think you could.
He did, right at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
But in talking to him, I asked him about, he wasn't really familiar with the PVC system. He said that would be totally acceptable. He said shingle is not ideal, because he's had to deal with all the shingles that have blown up and we've had to replace. So he said metal would be acceptable, but you got the seams where you can have leakage. I kind of think he pretty much confirmed exactly what PSI was saying about the pros and cons. So some of the other questions that the board had was on the
Thanks, Christie.
one of the things that I wanted to share with you that I spoke with Bob Ross on was the controls at Lotus. He recommended not doing it yet. He said, when you do a large project where you're changing out all your units and you're changing a lot of your equipment, he said, why put new controls on old equipment? Which makes total sense to me. He said, the control system now is working. It's probably going to become a little bit more obsolete and be harder to find parts, but he said it is working fine. But he said he would not recommend spending money for new controls on old equipment. Estimate for sprinklers at Stanton, without looking at it, they have, we did talk about that, if they have no idea, they had to come in and do some designing, engineering, things like that. So that's why they didn't want to give an estimate on the sprinklers. And when we looked at the, flip back over to the priority page, we moved some of those out.
Okay, so if you, we'll look at the second page of what Christy just handed you, please.
So we moved the sprinklers down to a priority 2. So when Heather and I were talking about, okay, when our capital funds are depleted, what do? Well, we've got a 5 to 7 year time frame once maybe the Lotus rooftop unit, or not units, but the rooftop units are going to be wearing out. We have to replace those. We do have an option of reissuing working cash bonds from our debt service extension. In talking with Tammy Shelmo, she said that within 5 to 7 years, we could have $1.5 to $2 million available. That is a non-referendum bond, which is what everybody, so it's not going to be raising taxes. It's what we're paying on now. What we're doing is paying down. We reissue, pay down, pay down, pay down, reissue, pay down, pay down. That's one way that we can make sure that we continuously upgrade the buildings and get the things done like big tab items like boilers.
If you plan ahead for them.
If you have, yeah, we have to have a capital plan in place. So that is one option that we do have. We don't have to go out to ask voters for more money to maintain the building. So this is something that we would want to look at long term. Some of the other items that we did have on the long-term capital considerations, and at some point we're going to have to replace Lotus's playground. Some of those things, some of it, we do have, we did have some good news also about we had talked about the roof access. We've got, we had our insurance guy come in and take a look at that and confirm with ADA that we can actually move that handrail that's up against the brick to the middle of the wall, which would make it nearly impossible for somebody to stand on and lean over. And we can also lower that by a few inches and make it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would just say, back in the day, I think, Jeff, the handrail used to be on the opposite side of the stairs, beside on the wall, I think.
There's still one there.
Yeah, there is one there.
Because I remember, yeah, kids were using that. It was pretty ingenious how they, in the winter time, they built up the snow and made a ramp and tied a rope to a car, and the skier would hang on the other end of the rope, and the car would take off and slingshot the skier up and over.
That's back in your day, right?
Yeah,
No.
That's Dabrowski.
No, this is like,
Dad was across the street chasing it.
this is like 12 years ago.
I'm feeling like I want to try that.
I kind of want to
That
too.
was pretty interesting.
Let's just see if it still works, Ken. We'll just see.
That's our next piece.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We'll have to get.
It's creative.
Yeah.
Pretty creative. So, we're working with Jack Frost Ironworks to see if we can get some estimates on relocating that, or probably recreating another handrail, custom handrail. The other thing that they wanted us to do is put these little clamps on there so that on the handrail so that skateboarders can't use that. So,
That's good, yeah.
yeah.
So that, I know.
That's gonna be something that's in the works, but it's a very nice workaround instead of having to go up to the roof and recreate another parapet wall or, do anything to the building side. So-
Good.
Really, all you have to do is get on the edge of the roof and put some cactus up there.
Right.
All it'll take is
Don't have
one.
it again.
All it'll take is one.
I think we did discuss that at some point.
You can't
but,
deny it.
Yeah, exactly. So then on the other, on the backside, some of the things that come off our priority list as well. The bus parking lot, with the electricity, that has pretty much changed. The sinks in the classroom pods, that's something that if we really, really want to do, we can do that through our O&M fund too. So going back to the Fund 60. We've got about almost $2.6 million worth of work to do this summer. And what we're recommending is that we continue to do the work that we proposed originally, the roof, the secured vestibules, which have to be designed yet, boiler replacement, and the rooftop units. The bond money has to be spent by August of 2024, which leaves us this summer and next summer. So this summer, what we really need to do is make a decision tonight. If we're going to do all of it, if there's something you want to hold, but we're pressing up against time. The contractors are starting to fill up their schedules, and so we really need to commit to getting this work done, or and keep in mind, like I said, we have to have this money spent by next year. So, any other questions on this?
Well, I have a few things to add. So Mary and I had almost an hour on the line today with Kurt and Bob from PSI, following up just on some things that came up following these questions. So some points I wanted to make sure everybody was clear on. Andy had requested all the documents regarding the past project and then current work for board review, and those were scanned and sent to us. To be honest, we said that we wanted them quickly, and Bob said that he would get them to us ASAP, and then follow up with them via mail. We took them as scanned copies and forwarded them to Matt and Andy, who have been extremely helpful and involved in all these decisions. So it's not to leave anybody out, but we didn't think everybody wanted to be down in the weeds on it. So I think that I want to be clear that that was not a PSI not sending the documents. We said we wanted them quickly, so they scanned them. And then I believe we got an email from one of the two of you saying, okay, well, when we get it, we get it. US mail. So I want to make sure isn't perceived to be them not being willing to send the documents. So they are coming our way via US mail as requested. Thank you, Andy, for your input on why US mail. So they are coming that way. In discussing some of the questions around pricing, PSI asked me to reiterate, and I agree with this, that please remember that this is for a guaranteed project. So there are no change orders once anything is signed. And I think any of us who are doing home construction, certainly this is a great big house, but I can speak to this personally. We're getting windows redone in our house today, which you would think would be a pretty easy thing. And I've had to do 2 change orders just today. And none of them were to make the project less expensive. In terms of questions about the boiler, PSI has assured us in an effort of good faith that they will get the boilers at the least comparable cost, which is about 15% discount over the projected cost that we started with. Boilers at this point are about 14 weeks out, which when you do the math gets the new boilers here, if the board goes in this direction, in plenty of time for install before we would actually need to use them to generate any kind of heat in the next season. They asked me to convey pretty much an apology that they aren't that they're asking for time to design anything that we would want extensive input on, for example, the secure vestibules. Given the guaranteed nature of what they do, they're reluctant to spec out anything, but are more than happy to come out with time to do that. They continue to recommend the roof, as Mary indicated. We asked them for some assurances on that. They said, and again, they're talking to their people, so take this as you want. They talked, their person with 35 years of experience says it's the way to go, as do all the installers. They remain very concerned about metal because of the seams, as Mary spoke to. As with anything, any product has to be maintained, and I think in a couple instances, we've landed where we have because things were not maintained, so we wanted to call to the board's attention the reminder that we do semi-annual roof inspections and maintenance with All Americans. So even though Chris isn't there, he's got Matt on his team. Matt's the one that has given us the shingle roof reports over time. What else did I want to make sure that I said? They did speak to the fact that the contractor whose numbers they used in the document, Mary, did you print copies of that?
Yes.
The document that the board has had access to, but we have additional copies of, did not hear back from us. They believe that they're still holding for us. And I didn't take that as a threat. I think the guy is still there, but the bottom line is if we want to get this roof done, and it is recommended that we do, if you had time to read the Friday update, I hope that you saw the comments in there from the most recent roof inspection saying that the Lotus roof is in the worst condition it can be in. So significant concerns there. Matt, I featured your pictures of holding shingles.
Yeah,
up.
that's just the recent one, and that's been going on for at least 10 years.
His report also included that the flat roof of the gym was in good shape.
Mhm.
That was in the report. The shingle roof was what he was very.
Very concerned about that
Specific
part.
about the shingle.
Correct.
portion and not the one over the gym.
That is correct. I'm concerned about the one over the gym. You want to talk about the
But that's
concern of the one over the gym?
That's the picture that was sent. That looked like a drain.
Right.
Yeah, that was great, the water.
Cast iron.
That one was, that came loose and then started coming on down with the melting snow. And then we were mopping it up and it just fell down, like, as we were mopping it, so the lead pipe cracked.
Right. And there's pretty typically with a heavy rain or a heavy snow, leaks that.
Yeah, even on the weekend, Russ is pretty good at coming in and checking the cafeteria and the gym to make sure there's no leaks in the building. We have them in different spots throughout the gym, and over the years, we've had water get underneath the boards and buckle, and had to have companies come in, dry them out, or replace floorboards in there and stuff, so.
And the other comment, I know we're kind of all over the place, but the other question from the board last time is regarding the coils to get the AC down here up and running. Why would you invest now knowing that it's not going to last? Well, first of all, we don't have the capital to do the full replacement now, but with the financial planning that Mary talked about, if we save over time, this document indicated that in the questions, at least 5 years for those coils if we replace them to last. We are to save out purposely for that amount of time. We feel confident that we can use those funds to do the full replacement that we would need to. So it's a short-term win with a plan for a long-term win as well, which is something that as a district, I believe really strongly that we can do a better job around is that long-term capital planning. Now, hopefully we can stop putting the finger in the dam for things. We can vision out a little bit more strategically than we have, which segues beautifully into, that would be an awesome topic for the strategic plan conversation that's coming up this spring. So the good news is, I can't believe I'm gonna say this. This is like, oh, it's an easy Friday. It seems like a lot of, not all, a lot of pop-up kind of, oh, that happened, is now more under control. I'm so scared to say it.
Don't say it.
So, with that,
You can breathe a bit.
you can, a little, which gives us the opportunity to be proactive instead of as reactive from a facilities perspective as we've had to be. That's a safe-ish way to say it.
What were the controls that were recommended not to be replaced?
The Lotus controls. So on the original list of items, the architect suggested that we replace the controls over at Stanton and also here. We did the ones with Stanton with HVAC, but the controls here, they're fine, they're working fine, but
And we're
it's an
talking
older system.
boilers.
Yeah, and all your units and everything. And so what they're suggesting is not doing it now because you're gonna be putting new controls on old equipment. So, yeah.
So those are listed on page 2, second from the bottom.
That's correct. So long-term capital considerations.
Right.
So that part is at the bottom of 2 and the top of 3, Mary and me sitting down and at a high level thinking of what's coming next that we need to be planning out longer term for. So it's not to say any of these things don't matter, it's just we can't fund them right now. So if we plan out further for them, they need to be priorities. And obviously the move the handrail at Stanton doesn't have to wait 5 years. It was a surprise, a new add into what we were talking about because we just got that council.
Right.
And apparently you have to be what, 7'2" to reach the roof from what they would be installing.
To reach over, and
So if we have that, we're gonna come get them on the basketball team.
They're jumpers too. That won't surprise me.
Well, I mean, they'll figure, if they can slingshot like you did on an ice ramp, they'll find a way.
I
We're
guarantee
just
you, those
making
will be shoveled though, those sidewalks.
Well,
Those
they
stairs
were
will be-
shoveled, but they packed it up themselves. They brought shovels
My God,
themselves.
that's a lot of work.
They did.
That's a lot of work.
So question on the bond money, Mary, is the bond money the 2,594,000? Is that only the bond money that we're concerned that we need to have spent by summer of 2024?
Yes, so the, 2.59.
That's just the bond money only?
Correct. Yeah.
That is really our
Yes.
concern.
Yeah, exactly,
The balance, right?
exactly. And, you know, what I'm most concerned about is if we push off any of the projects, we can't do them this summer, we're gonna be looking at higher costs. So that bond money isn't gonna go as far as we hope. I think we had talked in our discussion with PSI that roofing materials were already starting going up in price. I think that's what they were saying. But the escalations for next year, I mean, we're still gonna end up having to do the work, for sure, we know we need the roof. So, that's one of my big concerns, is if we don't move on this fairly soon, we're not gonna be able to get it in the summertime. Boilers, I think we can. That's kind of where the conversation ended with PSI, is we really need to make some decisions before these contractors start putting up their schedules, which I think is starting to happen now.
Part of the, we don't have the full picture here either. We have to figure out which way we're gonna go on the roof. The secured entries for both buildings are just a complete number pulled out of the air at this point.
Correct.
It's just a whole amount.
So I just kind of thinking of the bond money, how do we get it spent in time? So I think we need to prioritize, of course, the Lotus roof, boilers, the air top units at Lotus for the gym and cafeteria. Because as PSI said, it's gonna take them 8 to 10 weeks to get anything on secured entry issues. So I think we just really need to prioritize where we're at, and if the secured entries get pushed off because of price overruns on these other top issues, then those get put on hold.
And we have a matching grant on that too.
We do
When is that?
50,000.
When?
When do we gotta use that?
Receive the funds.
Right, so when does that have to be allocated by?
By next summer, not this summer. but
24?
Yes,
Okay, 20, so same term as the bonds.
right, pretty
Okay.
much. It's usually June 24.
Okay.
50,000 for each school
Total.
for vestibule.
And we have a 50,000 for the boathouse system. So we've got 2 maintenance credits sitting out there. So are you saying that you want to prioritize the projects that are on,
Yeah, I
we're
think
looking to do this
I
summer?
think we gotta decide on, especially the roof, that one we gotta get moving on.
Mhm.
Because we have some Band-Aids we can do right now, but everybody's gonna have to have a hard hat pretty soon.
Yep.
And that's like a different issue, I would assume. I don't know, that seems weird.
When the cast iron came down, when they did replace those PVC.
No, it was another cast iron and they supported it with, brackets.
Why are they using gas iron?
That's what I said.
I just sit there.
Andy?
So, I'm not gonna say I don't have complete confidence in what they're saying, but some of the information they're providing is slightly different than my understanding. Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on in the construction industry. We are seeing somewhat of a slowdown. The roofing contractors, the specific one, may be filling up his projects, and lining out his crews for the summer. I can't argue that because I don't know who it is. I would feel more comfortable if we just had a little bit better information, like square footage, unit cost, each type of roof, which we haven't, I believe they can give us that fairly quickly. They have the drawings. They could give us that information that would at least give us the ability to say, yes, that compares and is reasonable with what we're seeing in the market as far as pricing for that type of roof. I don't think this is something that obviously the board needs to decide, but, potentially instead of waiting another month, which could be problematic, maybe we have a meeting in a week or 2 weeks or something like that, and meet specifically to kind of finalize that information. Obviously, there's a big data dump that just came that I haven't had an opportunity to review. I don't know when that, saw a little bit of lien waivers up, but not total project information yet. So I'd like an opportunity to review that. I'd feel more comfortable. When
Are you talking about the documents that came to you last week?
Scans.
The scans?
The scans were only a handful of waivers. It wasn't backup.
And you want the spreadsheets, right?
I think it was about 100 pages.
Yeah.
Well, maybe my super.
I think they were all waivers though. I think it was all waivers.
I went through each attachment. There was multiple pages, but I didn't say it was 100.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not an expert in that Google thing, but it did seem like there was 100 pages. It looked like there was only lien waivers. And my problem is I have no way to tie out the lien waivers from a specific sub to see if that line item matches with the spreadsheet. Because I don't have the spreadsheet. I don't know what we paid. And I don't have any way to put those pieces together to say, yeah, this all ties out, makes sense, matches. Again, I'm not criticizing them or saying that they've done anything wrong. It's just more of a trust but verified type of situation, because we are talking about a lot of taxpayer dollars. And I think it's our responsibility as board members to make sure that we're making sound decisions based on information that we've at least reviewed. I know I looked at the roof design that they came up with, and the details were pretty good, but I didn't see anywhere in that scope that it said we're going to replace the drain lines. So that definitely sounds like it could potentially be out of scope, or at least something that should be inspected. But that's almost moving into plumbing, which is typically a different contractor than the roofing. Again, it's without that background that you just provided about that one specific situation, we may not have any problems, or we may have a lot of problems. Cast iron, installed correctly, can have a very long useful life, but may or may not. I'm a little surprised in the lead time on the boilers, because when I spoke with the supplier, it was 2 to 3 weeks, on site. So, again, their supplier may have different.
They haven't worked with the supplier with whom you're speaking. We did confirm that today.
Okay. So, think the manufacturers are starting to get more caught up. Obviously, there could be holes and gaps in supplies. I know that that is the case for the roofing manufacturers. Spoke with a number of reps and contractors in the last few weeks, and everybody's saying, I can get anything now, not having problems. Well, roof insulation was a big problem, that's now available. The membranes, they're able to get ample supply of that. As far as this argument that there's no seams in the PVC system versus a metal system, shingles or whatever, that's not the case. There's gonna be seams in the PVC system. The sheets are only so large, they can only handle so large of a sheet. There's gonna be seams just like we have on the Stanton roof. But we do have, an ability to look at the square footage of the Stanton roof and say, all right, we're installing basically the same new system on the Lotus roof. Obviously there's been some inflation, but, it would just, I think give us all peace of mind if hey, yeah, we're in the same ballpark on a square footage basis, as opposed to having just no idea. And I understand these guys are in the business that they're in, they're contractors, and maybe we benefited a little bit more from, the background that Walt was giving us. And, this may be how they do everything, and that works great, but just would feel more comfortable, in my opinion. I don't know how the board feels with, that's kind of my 2 cents worth is, let's get a little bit more so that we can make an informed decision.
I agree, but I think we need to move quick.
Part of it is on them getting information back to us.
Well, All American Roofing has the square footage, so, if we're looking at the square footage between the two roofs, ask them,
PSI has the same.
but they're not giving it to us.
They say it's gonna take 6 to 8 weeks.
Well, they say it's 48,000 square feet, but I don't know which one is which. So they already have the square footage, so they already know which one is the gym and which one is the shingles, and ask that.
PSI is drawing the roof. It's very simple in the CAD program or they're using just outlining the roof in about 2 minutes, they could give us all the information.
They could have done that last month. Length time was.
Will we have an issue like we had at Stanton with?
Hold on just a second. Was that specifically requested of them?
I didn't.
I thought we asked about it last month.
We did, we missed that in our question set, so.
You said
I'm on
square
it.
footage of what is?
So it basically, once you have the square footage, and then they split the price for the flat roofs versus the slope or shingle roofs, then you can quickly get a square foot cost for the flat roof, which we have great flat roof experience already, and we know what the market's doing. And then, currently shingle roof, you can look at, what's the cost for those systems? Is that in line with, what the market size? All they did was give us deduct numbers. You do it this way, you can save 100,000, this way you save 200,000.
Starting from where?
Exactly, we don't know if we're spending 500,000 on those roofs.
Right. Is this off of $1 million or 500,000?
Like the shingle section over there, my roofer got back to me today, this is not for this building. It's just an average ballpark, $350 a square is what they're charging to remove and replace. That's shingles, that's architectural shingles, it's not, a PVC roof, but, so if we had the square footage, for example, we would know exactly what, well, give or take a little bit, but we have a better idea. That's it.
They had it on the drawing.
That's $350 a square, so that's square foot.
Okay, so cost per square foot for each part of the roof in the method proposed. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Spreadsheets to show back up.
Or, the construction waivers that have been issued to date. We're gonna have an issue, or
Yeah, I want to make sure we're getting the questions because we need to get this shored up.
thinking of the roofing and what went on over at Stanton and all the different insulation issues and redrawings and that. Are we gonna have a similar issue here regarding that insulation where we had to get a bunch of new insulation, and it was different heights and different depths at different spots than what was existing? Recall that?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
I'm
not gonna
wondering,
happen.
It will likely, I won't say likely because I'm not a roofer. If it happens,
doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter because it's
included.
Price
guaranteed.
won't change,
Price won't change, no change orders.
no change orders.
Okay.
They work a little
Do
bit different.
you think they're gonna have to be removing their decking?
I think the problem is, once you dig into it, the insulation board is only 2.5 inches. I think here is 5 inches. So the building department will come and say you need 5 inches of insulation. But if it's guaranteed,
Right.
it's what they should
They'll
be
bring it up
coming.
to code.
But that's what you're saying, get the detailed quote, what's it include? Does it include the piping or anything else that may come up, or is it just for the membrane or the shingles, whatever it is?
So I think once we get this information back, we'll just have to have a special meeting.
But I'm not, obviously you're in the issue too, and I'm on the insurance side of it, but I really don't have problems getting, and I work on several schools in the state. I do not take this much time to get a proposal detailed wise as far as broken out, like as far as getting, so I think if you ask, they should be able to turn it over 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, and what I do obviously a little different, but I don't have issues getting quotes pretty quick. It was broken down detailed as far as what we need. Yeah, we were at home, but then they come back right away and give us a little more. But still, like, there's not like we're waiting on weeks upon weeks to get a proposal or a breakdown or detail between the flat roofs and the pitched roofs.
How do you think detail your square foot price as a square foot breakout between the two roofs would be helpful?
And we could probably just, I think, it seems like we have consensus that we could probably tell them not even to bother giving us the shingle price, and then we would want to see PVC and standing seam as far as pricing.
For the PVC we have, are you talking about the
Andy,
metal roof?
Yeah.
Do you want to see anything with the shingle part of it?
I think it's worth it. I mean, they already priced it. We just need to figure out what the real dollar amount was for the shingle, to go back with shingle, and they gave a number. So they assigned a dollar value to it. We just don't know.
We asked that
What portion
question,
of the total amount is shingle versus flat?
we already asked that question, so they'll take them 6 to 8 weeks.
Not acceptable, I guess.
Well, that's where just the square footage of the different areas, at least gives a better idea. But the last question, provide a clear breakdown of the costs for each type of roof. So it'll take 6 to 8 weeks.
For design and drawings and specifications, you know,
Right.
scope.
What's, I know it's completely different, but, you know, when I call my roofer to do something, he pulls it on what's something called Eagle View, which is just it's software. They don't even leave their desk. And he can give me a price.
Yeah, Big Brother has an eye on everyone.
Yeah, absolutely do, yeah. Because they can pull the square footage off the Eagle View for the whole building. Yeah, I don't pay for that program anymore. But do I? Well, there you go, Eagle View is the place, man. How much square footage?
Danny, get us the square footage ASAP.
So yeah, 6 to 8 weeks is really long.
I think they should be able to get us, I think they would be able to get us the square footage, because they have all the designs, all the drawings and everything. I have a drawing up and everything, but first of all, I can't see it, so it's tiny, but, it doesn't have square footage, it just shows. general notice.
I may be missing something, but it looks like Anthony Roofing was the winning number. They didn't provide any of the other numbers. It was 766,000 or something like that. And if this number is right, it may be just for that previous scope, which was only the shingle fix. Because the first time they weren't doing flat roofs. And this came through the first time. Now we're at 1.2 million for all the roofs. They weren't doing the gymnasium for the 766, if that's.
No, it was a different, I think I have that.
That's the one you just handed out tonight.
Yeah.
You got that right?
And then one,
I got 752 or 766. Anthony,
the original submission was almost 2.3 million on this roof, and Anthony was 1,497,000. That was what they were proposing for it. That was the original, and we went back and said, we don't have that much money, we can't, make some choices. We did the same thing with the rooftop units, because at that point, they said it was $940,000 to replace those. We said, no, we don't have that much money, we're $1 million over our budget, so.
So where's the 1195?
That is where they changed the scope of the project, and they're leaving the membrane on the roof as it is, gym, and then doing the other roofs.
Then we just talk about the gym roof.
The membrane, the flat roofs.
Right.
Based
when they
on,
said, I thought they said they didn't think it was needed to be
on the
done.
drawing.
Yeah, this is the 766 number, I think. This is the one that.
Right, exactly.
Okay, well, what's the scope for this one?
So this is all the way down there, all the way down. So that's 119.
So I guess what roofs are we roofing for 1.2? Just this slope roofs. So that means you're at 15,000 square feet for room two.
Well, what, I can't, I didn't hear you.
So these are the only roofs that are being part of this one. Which are only the current single roofs.
So that's the. That's that one, 1.2.
If we understand it correctly.
So on, yeah, the one.
So we're not doing this.
So the flat roof's not getting done at all.
We're gonna,
But isn't that where the majority of the leaks have happened? Yeah.
Is that, I can't.
The majority of the leaks, have they happened in the flat roof area?
Yeah, gym center, not in here though,
Right.
but it's mainly in the gym. I know, well, this is part of the gym, but
Right.
That's where those two rooftop units are, most of the time, where the two rooftop units are.
All American Roofing said that the roof is in good shape except the drains fall out.
Right.
But they're not.
Right.
not even
Two little
the
holes.
drains though, like, I mean, I can show you guys where most of the leaks are happening in the gym, but it's.
Well, a lot of that ends up being curbing and any penetrations, which can be repaired, they can be repaired.
Well, right, exactly. If they, again, their inspection said that the actual roof is in good shape. Pretty good email I received on Friday, with the exception of, obviously the pipe fell through and they fixed a couple other things, but if the roof itself is in good shape, yeah, to your point, on the flat roof area, we need to go around and really check those seams.
And a lot of times, it's usually during a really hard rain, and if it's like raining sideways, yeah. So,
And that
Yeah, it's really
almost indicates it's coming through the curves and any flashings that are around HVACs or any units that are up there.
Yeah, it's the two. we're talking about that.
So if
And
you
they
use
did
the
say they would take care of that leak.
All-American 48,000 roughly square
Right,
feet.
48,000 is what.
And then if you take the number that I believe is associated with that, that's actually 2.3 million. So you got 48,000 a square foot. Which is higher than what I've seen PVC roofs. So.
Yeah, the square foot of the different area, it's all it is, the square foot of the area that they're proposing, I suppose, I guess. For some reason, I thought this one was included, maybe that's just because of the number. Where I never would have thought that shingle portion would run that much, even with a $200,000 discount to replace it with shingles, it's still $1 million, right? Isn't that what they said, it was 200,000 less?
$1 million to reshingle on the roof.
To reshingle those, I'll do it. I'll have it done the weekend.
Well, I think that's the thing, is we don't want to jump to any conclusions. So I think I was under the impression that we were doing all the roofs again.
Yeah, was that?
And it adds some clarity to the project.
Yeah, to be fair to them, though, they did list on the plans at H&I, it's really small and hard to read, but they did list the roofs, that the price was more. You know, I probably failed to look at the actual drawing to see what they were all calling those roofs. I'll put that on there. That's from 2 months ago. Yeah, sorry.
So this would be performance services going out to companies X, Y.
Correct.
Yeah, it's small. So, yes. It's a little bigger. Yeah, but it's 13%. Yeah, that's good. Well, I think that's good. Now, for that matter, yeah, it's a big one.
PSI, first percent on all our.
In November, I'm looking at the documents from All American. Or flat roof. This was Chris's report. Flat membrane found to be in good condition. Selected field seams looked okay. All RTUs, fan housings, drains, and penetrations were inspected and as a whole found to be in good condition. Some areas in need of maintenance attention. Cost of these repairs listed below. Repairs. Repaired 2 holes at curb corners. Repair 1 hole in membrane at door sill. Total cost for above non-warranted repairs was $650, and that was November of 2022 for the flat roof portion.
Right, yes.
And those repairs didn't take place, right?
No. We didn't want to throw money at something. Pieces were still moving. Quick calculation.
Nice to do is the shingle areas over there. If they don't do it, or whatever, say they probably maybe take take some of that money over to the flat and go through it. It seems like that's where we got most of the problems.
Right.
$47.91.
A big, right now, yeah.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
I should,
That's just a cast iron with ball outs building.
92 years ago.
Is there any other questions on the other portions, the boilers, the, like I said, the secured entrances are gonna be just a placeholder. Rooftop units here, the repair. That's mostly the questions I have.
Should we approve stuff that can be approved right now and then hold off on the roof? Or just wait and do it all at once?
Well, so do we have so that's where Mary was going with her question. So for the 2 rooftop units, for the gym and cafeteria at Lotus, the proposal is $111,000. Do we need, are we okay to move ahead with that, or do we need any, can we move ahead with that and then get whatever details on the equipment at a later date? Or do we need those details first? Because I'm thinking that, are we gonna have the same issue that with the boiler replacement at Stanton, where we had questions with the cost of the equipment? They addressed the boilers and they said that they were gonna be
They'll match cost.
a match cost.
I would take advantage of that.
Right.
At the 15%.
Contractor rate. So I think we're okay to move ahead with the boilers.
Okay.
With that stipulation that they're gonna do that pricing. I mean, I hate to be digging this deep into this stuff, but we have a lot of other projects here that we're not addressing because of our limited funds. Do we need to get additional detailed unit pricing from them for the 2 rooftop units? Or can we write that into the contract that they'll match it for the rooftop units also?
Match what?
The same open book pricing at a different company, the contractor's pricing.
We're not gonna be able to do that the same way because EMS is providing a replacement of existing coils.
Right.
So like, replacement.
Right.
Whereas the boilers is like an off-the-shelf
Right.
whole
Okay.
component. The boiler project has a bunch of other labor associated with it, but those are separate line items. As far as changing out the flue and doing the necessary plumbing and pumps and things like that. So the boiler project is actually, a combination of a bunch of these different things together. Very hard to make a comparison, and the equipment associated with rooftop units is short of actually knowing the specific size of that coil. Going to somebody who manufactures coils, there's limited opportunity to do that type of verification. And I think that on some level, when they came and presented in front of the board, they said, we buy this equipment because we're big and we're gonna get the best pricing out there. And kind of shot themselves in the foot while they gave it up on the boilers. And, that they really be the biggest, baddest shopper in town and get the best deal possible. And that troubles me. I'm just being frank and honest. They came here and they said one thing. And now we want to make sure that they continue to do that. And they're getting paid money to not only design and oversee the project, but to make sure that part of project managers buy the project out of the right place. And they get 17% on top of or overhead and profit. And, you know, I asked a specific question, are they marking up the equipment? And their rebuttal is, we'll give you this one, but just remember, we don't do change orders. Well, that was part of their sales pitch, along with telling us that they are great shoppers and, you know, let us buy the equipment so it's not getting marked up by the contractor, and we're gonna save you money. Now, maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly, but that's what I recall.
That's what I recall.
And all I'm asking them to do is walk the talk. I'd like to put in a motion that we table this to the next scheduled meeting, just because it's already 8:30, we got plenty of other things to do.
Well, I
Next
think
scheduled meeting,
we'll have that
we're
special
gonna
meeting.
bump the.
Special.
Yeah, special meeting.
So you mean like next week, special meeting?
Well, when we can get information back from PSI.
We're gonna ask for a week. I mean, don't we want it sooner than later? Or what we're asking, can they provide that in a week?
Do we want them here?
I don't think we are asking anything above and beyond the ordinary, and we should have the information within 10 days.
I think they can get it in a day or two, honestly.
Would we like them here to answer questions? At the meeting? I mean, that'd be helpful.
Might as well, yeah.
Was that?
Might as well. We'll have to find out from them when they can get us the info so we can get the meeting scheduled. We have 7 calendars, more than that, 7 plus 10 calendars to deal
We'll have
with.
to do it virtually, there's no doubt. Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
I did, I made a motion to table this to our next potential scheduled special meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion passes, table.
Too many papers in front of me. Sure, personnel report, okay. One hire, as you see here, that's a bus driver, nice work. So we bring forward, with the board's permission, approval of the personnel report as is.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger and a second by, who's that?
Thanks, Ken.
Ken.
Okay. Did you, Dan?
No.
That's good.
Roll call,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Galina?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Brien?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. The strategic plan mid-year update, you had the cover memo. I did not get questions via email. You can see we're approaching rapidly the end of the strategic plan that was written in my first year, which I can't believe. In some ways, it feels like forever ago, and in some ways, it feels like the blink of an eye. So the 22-23 outcomes are coded as of today's date, so we still have time to work on some of these indicators. A portrait of a graduate I'm going to propose become one of the outcomes of our next strategic plan. It seems kind of ridiculous to do it now when we know we'll be doing that work moving forward. The portrait of a graduate, it's still indicated in yellow. That was something we were heading into, and then COVID hit. So that would certainly be an outcome of the next strategic plan. So I don't know if there are questions, any celebrations from the board's perspective, and then I do have a couple suggestions for consideration about the next strategic planning session. And Maureen, if you want to chime in on any of that, that would be awesome, because the EAFL board and I have discussed it. Anything from you?
About the SEL results, it was nice to see that those had met with expectations. And the Lotus PCL, even though the exacta board isn't there, achieved that. A lot of green, so that's good.
Yep. And yellow's not bad, we've still got time to work, it's only January.
Time flies so fast.
Jeff, Matt, Lynn, anything from you guys on the strategic plan?
Anybody else on the board?
Yeah, lots of green, like to see that. Keep moving along.
Then we will update the online dashboard. David Rote does a great job at that. It's a little bit more user-friendly there, but we wanted the board to see the full detail. We did start talking about strategic planning the last time the exec board and I met. How we would ask the board to consider proceeding is instead of doing several consecutive Tuesday nights, I talked to Bob Golden, Big Hollow, and they did a model where they met Friday night and Saturday. And in that couple hours and then a day, by the end of it, had their strategic plan drafted. Which I see some merit in, because if you delay a week, if there's a week in between meetings, and I know we kind of always felt like we were backing up to go forward. You had different membership each week, so sometimes there were people who were at a meeting, but then not at the next one. Not a lot. I think most people were really committed to the process, but it worked well in Big Hollow. Bob wouldn't necessarily recommend their facilitator, but absolutely loved the construct for it. So I know it's taking a Friday and a Saturday, which is hard to come up with. But I think with advance notice, it could be something that we can consider. The last time we did a strategic plan, I did facilitate it. There's pros and cons to that. I know that John Donnellan had concerns about me doing that because it can seem like you're driving it the way you want it to go. And I do, because I think there's not somebody that knows this district a whole lot better than I do right now. And that's not trying to be arrogant, that's just speaking the truth. I certainly can't make decisions in isolation, which is why we have a board and I have great stakeholders on the team and outside, and that's why we involve the community and different partners and parents. And I would encourage some kids to get involved in this time. We have some amazing 8th graders who I think could give us some pretty fantastic insights on what it's like to be a kid in 114 and what we've done well and what we can do better. So I think the exec board would feel comfortable with me facilitating again this time. I would not facilitate moving forward because that would be part of my transition plan, likely out in terms of that timeline and how things would fall out. So that's kind of what we were thinking. Mo, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you hit on the big points, especially when we talked about facilitating and, feeling like, yes, you know it best, you're in the weeds, and you have some vested interest in
a little bit
what happens. So I think that's where we felt we would be most comfortable, because it's not an outside person coming in with their perspective, but rather people who are in the weeds doing the work, facilitating, which has been pretty successful for us this time.
So any discussion or thoughts on that? You're not gonna hurt my feelings if you tell me don't do it. I'm okay with that.
Do it.
You did a great job last time, and I fully support you doing it.
You really?
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the power session instead of intervals?
Power session.
Yeah, the attention span of a man, so.
Well, and like you said, I think like even in the beginning of well, if you do it in 3 consecutive Tuesdays, you start all over with a new icebreaker. So I think that's, I don't want to say lost time because it's valuable, but
yeah,
you can just kind of.
It's not efficient.
Yeah, it's not.
But there will be icebreakers. There will be a team building.
She's already got it.
And food.
And always food. Okay, then we'll start looking at calendars. As always, if, as a board, you have stakeholders in the community that you think should be invited to participate, I would really appreciate your perspective on that, and you can get it to me just by sending me an email. With your email, you can guarantee that person will be invited to participate, and then it becomes up to them whether they do so or not. But I would love to have your perspective. The same is true for our administrative team, and I will also open it up to the staff. Okay, fantastic. All right, ready for policy?
Yep.
Okay, this is wonky, and that's a technical term. All right, so in Exhibit H, you have the first read on 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 policies. Everything is cool except for 770. All right, so let's walk through the first reads in the packet that has Exhibit H at the top. So 310 is general school administration, and this gets us through in the most recent press policy guide through sections 3 and 4, just for those of you keeping score on how far we're along in the sections. So 310 is general school administration. The policy's not changed. Footnotes are updated for continuous improvement. So no substantive change there, but it is recommended for review and approval. Next is policy 350. Again, no changes to the policy, and that is administrative personnel other than the superintendent, which basically says I can assign other duties as I want to, as long as they're in alignment with the district goals. So don't start to freak out. Cross-references and footnotes are updated because in relationship to policy 5120, and that'll come up next month. There's no substantive changes there either, but I didn't want to start jumping sections because it just gets crazy, right? Next in this packet is 360, same thing. Cross-references and footnotes updated, general administration, administrative responsibility of the building principal. Again, this just has to go with policy 5120, and we'll again review that next month. 410 is operational services. This is actually the policy itself is updated, legal references are updated, and the footnotes are updated because it requires districts to disclose the cash reserve balance of funds, as is indicated up here in the header in red, related to their operational levy at public hearings for the district budget and the levy for that taxable year. So you just got to be able to say what the fund balance is, which I'm not too worried about. Next is for 120. Legal references are updated, and then there's language in here related to code about National School Lunch Program to provide a plant-based school lunch option to students who request one. So there's that.
Good job, you do that.
Yeah. 4165 is updated legal references, cross-references, and footnotes. And this all ties back again to 5120, which is the employee ethics and code of conduct. And that's the one that's next month that kind of impacts everything. Then 4190, updated footnotes, no substantive changes to the policy or our operating principles. So that's all of the policies right here. In terms of the cover sheet, you can see that a lot of them are in full compliance. 410, I just wanted to call to Mary's attention regarding the cash reserve funds requirement, and then 770 needed work, which now transitions to the next topic. So everything in this packet is a first reading that will go on public review, as we always do. Now, 770 is its own beast, and that is Exhibit I in the draft form, and then it was a walk-on this evening, so you could see in clean form what 770 would look like finished. I can only think of one other time I've asked the board to consider a policy for approval on first read, and here's why I'm doing it. ISB, back in July, made the decision to include changes in the attendance policy with the addition of attendance at a civic event as an excused absence
in addition of language indicating the board will review this policy at least once every 2 years. That ISB decision was buried in a state level correspondence with an expectation that districts take action on it by September 30th. Nobody did it, nobody saw it, and so they extended the deadline for that to January 13th, but didn't tell anybody. So obviously, any kind of a policy change requires board review. We then last Tuesday started getting emails from ISB, all of us in Illinois, saying you haven't done this, to which we said we didn't know we were supposed to do this. They said, well, you got to get something turned in by Friday because we told you so. So thank you to Matt for quick signing the, hey, we're going to do this letter that we submitted on Friday to meet the deadline to keep us out of ISB problems, and said that we would bring policy 770 forward tonight for approval in accordance with the required change in language. So that's a lot of language around, I need you to approve this policy tonight because we're already handling it. So in this version, I took out all the high school language. I did in one spot leave an age up to 17 simply because it started to get clunky if I took it out. But like absentee and truancy, there's one in the original that you'll see when kids can, they're working jobs. I took that language out. And I did say kindergarten through 12 in public school regardless of age, simply because it read a little cleaner that way. If you'd like me to change it to an 8, I can, because that has been our practice. I changed it throughout the rest of the document because in old item 2, new item 1, protocol for excusing student in grades 6 through, I believe it was originally 12, 6 through 8 from attendance to sound taps at a military honors funeral held in Illinois for a deceased veteran.
We just had that last week.
For real, you did? Yeah. Have you ever had that? Yeah. It was like, what?
Yeah, I would say just to change that up at the top.
Take it out? Okay. So in the very long-winded, what I would be asking for is board approval of the walk-on 770 with the only change to be made under the very first paragraph where it still reads 12, changing that 12 to an 8 since we are a pre-K through 8th grade system, unless the board sees anything else.
And what about number 6? It says any child 16 years of age or older who's employed or enrolled in a graduation incentives program.
Are you looking at the new one?
That's the new one.
Which one are you on, Roger? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, the new one, number 6, it says they're like numbered inside that second paragraph. And number 6.
Oh, good Lord. Yep. Okay, so we would be changing 12 to 8 and taking out number 6 in the second paragraph. Thank you, Roger.
Maybe this is an ignorant question. Is there any scenario where you might have like a special ed student that might fit this situation?
Well, probably not, and, I mean, they can be employed, we could probably have a 16-year-old that's employed, but probably not in the graduation.
We wouldn't have a
incentive
16-year-old.
program.
We could have 16 here.
We would never have a
No way.
16-year-old.
Become the responsibility of the.
Right, they go
High
grant.
school at 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't.
So if any of the kids are called as play taps, we just let them have the day off.
We let them play taps.
Excusing students.
So the protocol would be, it's an excused absence. That would be the protocol. And the other thing I do want to point out, I don't want to belabor this point, but when you read through the rest of it and it's talking about processes regarding truancy and supporting kids, like that's what Rochelle and Natalie have been pointed out as being exemplary in the district or in the county for doing. I think we talked about it last, maybe 2 meetings ago, about the ROE pointing people to Rochelle and Natalie for our truancy procedures. And they've even gotten stronger as a result of some of the things we shared with you about targeted status at Stanton. So I'm not worried about this policy at all. I will certainly clean this language up. It's kind of much ado about a little thing. So thank you, Matt, for your help in getting that signature Friday. Christie too.
Christie did all the hard work.
So those are the changes.
So we're looking for an approval of 770 as amended.
I'll second.
Motion by Roger, second by Andy. Please pull the board.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Regan?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Molina.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, then the only other policy item is final approval. So this is the typical process. These are the ones we reviewed last month, have been on public review, so we'll be approving final versions of the ones listed in item 3. Any questions on any of these from last time? All right,
Hearing none, are we looking for a motion for the approval?
Make a motion.
Motion by Jen, second by Andy. Please pull the board.
Mrs. O'Regan?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dombrowski?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Molina.
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson?
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you.
any discussion items this evening?
No.
Then there
We
are
want to
dates.
talk about boilers anymore, roofing?
There are dates of note here for you. If you'd like to sign up for either the legislative breakfast or the division meeting, please let Christy know.
If anybody can know specifically, we're
Motion to adjourn.
we got a second. Motion by Andy, second by Roger to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Aye. And any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
The audience opposed.
Hey, Lynn did say if you wanted, she'd welcome her tomorrow.
You know, I was surprised on the picture of the roof. Why is there one of those grates missing? How, that doesn't go away with metal.
Believe it or not,
Stop it. Well, if that's blowing away, no problem, no wonder we got shingles. That surprised me that that picture was that missing.
Thanks, guys.
The other thing is
I assumed it was metal.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Mary, I have a draft. Can you read this draft? Make sure it's inclusive. Change it.
Yeah, 6 kids.
Not sure we know when. Thank you.
I'll just make sure. Oh.
Yeah.